Hey everyone! Today I'm going to talk about where I've been for the last month. Now, if you think back a while ago, I posted a video, I think it was in October, about my very first hospital visit. Well, I was in the hospital and I actually got admitted for about 10 days. So this video is going to be all about my first admitted hospital stay, and stay tuned because I have very exciting news. So we'll go back to a brief history of that first hospital visit. I was having lower abdominal pain, and I was like, well shit, like I was in a lot of pain, like I was crying, screaming. So my husband's like, yeah, we should go to the hospital. Turns out they did an x-ray and I was just essentially really backed up. So, they gave me medicine to clear me out and I was on my way. Well, a month later in November, I had really bad abdominal pain again. This time it was in a completely different spot, something I've never felt before, and it was in the middle of the night. It woke me up and it lasted probably about 20 to 30 minutes. It was weird, let it go, but then it happened again a couple days later. It lasted a little bit longer, about an hour. So I decided to go to the doctor and something wasn't right. I go to my doctor, she tells me it's either an ulcer, a stomach ulcer, or a hiatal hernia. And she gave me the paperwork to get an upper GI test done. So I scheduled that and I was going to figure out what was wrong. A couple days before the test, I find out some news and I had to actually cancel the test. Doctor said it would be best to just not do the test right now. So, since it was possibly a stomach ulcer or a hiatal hernia, my doctor just gave me this medicine to coat my stomach. I was supposed to take it 3 times a day with meals and then once again before I go to bed. Well, come December, I get a really distressing phone call at work, and right after that, I start having this awful pain, same pain I felt in November. It made me go to the doctors. I left work and I had the pain for about a week. My doctors pretty much told me to just wait it out. There was nothing I could do, which was a little odd. I probably should have gone to the hospital then, but I listened to my doctors and I just laid on the couch and I waited it out. So this seems to be like a monthly thing going on, because in January, I get into work and I'm there for 15 minutes and I run to the bathroom and I vomit. It's all stomach acid, which again would coincide with the ulcer, because like with the stress creates an excess of stomach acid, which can irritate an ulcer, and then that's pretty much all I was throwing up was just stomach acid. So that was a Tuesday. I leave work literally 15 minutes after I arrive. I'm trying to keep down fluids. I'm trying to drink like soup broth, but in my head, I'm thinking, my stomach doesn't feel right. I feel like I have to throw up. So if I throw up, I'm going to feel better. So pretty much anything I was ingesting, I was throwing up, and it was just mostly stomach acid. It was pretty disgusting. So I went through all of Tuesday like that, all of Wednesday until about like 7:30, and this time I definitely wasn't in as much pain as I was in December when I called my doctor and asked what I should do. But I looked at my husband and I pretty much said, I think I should go to the hospital. So I called my mom to see if that's what I should do, and she said, well, if you feel this bad, go to the hospital. So I went, waited about an hour in the waiting room, which I wasn't in a super amount of pain, but I was in pain. I get in there and it was pretty quick once I got in. They took my vitals, they gave me an IV with saline, and they did a regular ultrasound. And it pretty much showed, not pretty much, it showed I have gallstones, and one was pretty badly stuck in the bile duct. So I waited for an hour, and then within an hour they told me they were admitting me. So this was Wednesday night. I think I got into my room no later than midnight, I don't think. So Thursday, not allowed to eat anything. They don't know what they're going to do with me. I had to meet with the surgical team, which was technically the staff that I was under, and the GI team. They also had to meet with an OB team. So I can't even say it. They were trying to figure out what was the best route to go. Reason being, which I guess I'll spill the beans now, is I'm pregnant. At the time, I was 11 weeks pregnant. I'm pregnant! So that's the big news. I'm pregnant. I didn't want to post anything on YouTube yet, because I didn't tell anyone else but my family, so I didn't really want that out yet. But my husband and I finally decided to spill the beans everywhere else on social media. So yeah, so pretty much they didn't want to do anything that would harm the baby. But all in all, which I agreed with, when it came down to it, my life and getting this stone out was important, and yes, it would be sad if anything happened to the baby, but it's very important that we got this stone out. So I don't think I was able to eat anything on Thursday. They might have given me like chicken broth for dinner, but they didn't know what they were gonna do yet. So Thursday they took me for an MRI. It was my first MRI, or not my first MRI, because I had one when I was a baby, but this is the first one in my adult life. I've never had anything more than a cold, so this was all very new to me. I had an IV in me, and they were giving me antibiotics through the IV, saline solution. They were even giving me pain meds, which were killer. They were great. So they take me for the MRI, and it just confirms I have this stone that's stuck, and it's backing up all of my bile, which was creating an increase of bilirubin, and it was putting me at risk for infection of my pancreas and my liver. I wasn't quite there yet. So pretty much Thursday and Friday, they were all working together to figure out the best plan of action. And Friday, I don't know if it was Friday or Saturday of that week, but then they told me that the following Monday, that they were going to go in and do a procedure called an ERCP, which is pretty much endoscopy to go in and get the stone out of the bile duct. But at that point, they didn't want to operate and take the whole gallbladder out because I was at risk with the baby. So, cool. They were going to go in and get the stone out. So I just hung out all weekend. Figured they said that once they got the stone out on Monday, I'll be able to go home Tuesday. They just wanted to keep me overnight for observations. Monday comes around. Couldn't eat anything after midnight on Saturday or Sunday, but at some point over the weekend they did let me have like more solid foods. Like I had salmon with mashed potatoes, and I had meatloaf one day. So it was pretty okay, for hospital food. Monday comes around and my stepdad's there with me. We're waiting. They didn't tell us a time for the procedure, but I just knew it was going to be sometime that day. So my stepdad was there waiting with me to figure out what was going on, and a resident from the surgical team comes in, and he's like, still pisses me off. He says to me, everything's good to go, I'm on the schedule, and they'll do the procedure after they do the test. And I'm like, what test? He said the ERCP, which to my knowledge was the only thing that they were doing. So I'm like, well, what do you have me on the schedule for then after the ERCP? Oh, to get your gallbladder out. My heart stopped. I'm like, no. That's not what we discussed. We are not taking the gallbladder out today. And he was like, oh, I'm pretty sure that's what I read. I said, well, that's not what I discussed with my doctors. I really would like you to double check. So he went and left and said he'd have to talk to the doctor. Well, no, he was wrong. I was not getting my gallbladder out, so I had a full-on panic attack, called my OB doctor, which couldn't call me back. Had someone else call me back, which was also another thing. And I was just a mess. I was a mess because I prepared myself. Like, again, this is the first time I'm in the hospital for something. And I've never had any surgeries. I've never been put under for anything. I've never, this was all new. So I'm literally freaking out. But it was just the ERCP. So time comes, I'm still really nervous. I didn't know what it was going to be like to be under anesthesia. I was really nervous about the baby, obviously. And they put me under. That was all fine. The doctors and nurses were all great. Until I come out of the anesthesia, and it's like I'm saying anesthesia, and the doctor couldn't get the stone out. So, that was kind of rough. I didn't know what was going to happen at that point. They said they wanted to wait a few days and that they were going to go back in and try again. The doctor said he got really nervous and pulled out. He did not want to damage anything any further. So, it was what it was. I went back to my room. I cried hysterically. They also did an ultrasound after, and I saw that my baby had little arms and legs at this point, and I was really fucked up from being under and waking up, and just a mess. I was crying, hysterically bawling. I was like, my baby has arms and legs, and a mess. And plus all the pain meds they had me on, I was pretty far gone the whole time I was there. So the next day, a PA from the GI team who did the procedure, the GI team did the procedure, the PA didn't. He comes in, he starts just talking to me, and he's saying how I had pancreatitis. I'm like, I don't have pancreatitis. And he goes, yeah, you do. Didn't they talk to you about this? Aren't you on antibiotics? I said, yes, I am on antibiotics because I have inflammation of the gallbladder. No one has said anything to me about pancreatitis. I don't have it. He goes, oh, let me pull up your chart. He said, yeah, the CAT scan you had yesterday shows that you have pancreatitis. I didn't have a CAT scan yesterday. I can't have a CAT scan. I don't have pancreatitis. And he's like, okay, let me go talk to the doctor. About 10 minutes later, he comes running back in, out of breath, and he apologizes and was like, oh, I was reading someone else's chart. You're right, you don't have pancreatitis. No shit, I know that. Thank you. So he pulls up my chart and he's like, Kate May, right? Yes. 10-4-95? Yes. So, and he's like, oh. And I'm like, you literally, what if that was something more serious? What if you told me that person's name? That is a direct violation of HIPAA, first of all. So I was not amused. Later on, first off, I found out that PA also gave my nurse attitude and insisted I had pancreatitis to her, and she felt really bad because she thought she was doing her job poorly, that poor nurse. Like, my nurses were so amazing and so great. They took very well care of me, and they made sure everything was in my best interest. I loved all of my nurses. These fucking baby doctors pissed me off, though. So she said something to her supervisor on the floor, and later on the GI doctor with this PA came into my room and he apologized profusely, which the day before, the surgical doctor also apologized for his resident coming in and giving me the wrong information. So I did get apologies, but I also found out that he did not, the PA that told me I had pancreatitis did not apologize to my nurse, which I didn't like. So the GI doctor came in, apologized profusely, was the first thing he said to me. He said that the way the hospital's set up, they have a med-surg floor west and a med-surg floor south, and sometimes it's the wing just opens, so they get a little confused and they pull up the wrong chart. Still no excuse. He should be double checking that stuff because there could be very vital and important information that if you tell the wrong person, they're going to get upset. Like me. But it wasn't as serious, but it could have been. So as far as my procedure, the doctor explained that when the GI doctor went in, my duct is 2 millimeters wide. The wire that they had to get into the duct was 1 millimeter wide, and then my stone was 6 millimeters wide, sitting at the very edge of the duct. So it was very difficult to get the wire in to blow it up to get the stone out. So that was kind of scary. What he pretty much explained was that if they can't get the stone out the next time, they're going to have to put a drain in my side and drain it all out like a colostomy bag. That was a little nerve-wracking, but I commended my doctor who did the procedure that he didn't feel comfortable. I'm glad he pulled out if he didn't feel comfortable rather than kept going and something worse could have happened. So it was what it was. I just had to stay in the hospital for a couple more days. So that was Tuesday when that all happened. I chilled out Wednesday. Thursday rolled around and they tried the procedure again. That time it was successful, and I was just pretty much in recovery at that point. Everything went well. Friday rolled around and they had me out by noon. It was a week and a half of, at first it was kind of relaxing, like, oh, I gotta focus on me, get better, take care of myself, this is a good thing, a little break, up until they couldn't get the stone out, and I'm like, I don't know about this anymore, I kind of need to get out, but it worked out. So at this point, everything's good with me, everything is good with baby. I'm now officially in my second trimester, so they are now okay with doing the surgery. I'm going to find out what my surgery is on February 6th, and they're going to take the whole entire gallbladder out. At that point, hopefully, everything should be okay. They're going to do that laparoscopically, and it's totally okay to do with the baby. So that's where I've been, at least for half of January. So I'm going to get back into making videos. I have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. I watched a whole bunch of stuff when I was in the hospital. Finally watched You. I watched The Circle on Netflix. I've seen a couple movies. Not the 1975, the band. I saw 1917, and today I saw The Gentleman, so I'll be talking about that, a couple other things that I've watched. But stay tuned, and if you made it through this whole entire video, thank you. It was been a wild ride for my first hospital stay. For longer than just an emergency visit, of course. So I know this was a lot, and this isn't normally what I'm going to be posting, but give me a like, comment if you've had any crazy hospital visits that you want to share, and subscribe to find out how I liked You. I have a lot to say about You. And not You, but you know, the Netflix series You, and a couple other great movies that I've seen in the last month. Alright, see you next time, guys.